Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today I will be starting some of the seeds for my 2023 garden. It's time for me to start them now for them to be ready to go outside in the spring. So let me let you know what I will be starting indoors today. So let's just go ahead and get started with the seeds that I will actually be putting in seed trays today. So there are some lettuces that I'm going to start now. The lettuces that I'm starting now are really for my indoor garden, which I like to start them and then put plugs into my GreenStalk so that they have a better start off. So let's talk about the lettuce first. So for the lettuce, I am going to start some black seeded Simpson. This is from Gurney's. You know, no pretty pictures on this one, but black seeded Simpson will be one of the ones I start today. I have a burpees bib that I'll be starting today. I have two salad bowls that I'm going to be starting today. So I have a red salad bowl as well as the traditional green salad bowl lettuce. So for the lettuce, I have a burpees salad bowl. And I have, let's see, who is this with? Instant Latch. Don't know much about it. Don't remember even where I got the seeds from, but Instant Latch. Instant Latch, which is a red salad bowl lettuce. Those are all loose leaf lettuces so far. I'm starting a dark rodent, which is from Gurney's as well. So this is a Gurney's. Let me get it turned the right way. Gurney's is a leaf lettuce, and it's a reddish color. So dark rodent. And then I will be starting like 3 different types of head lettuce. So I am going to start a Little Jim Butterhead. It's from M.I. Gardner, Little Jim Butterhead there. Cimarron, I guess is how you say it, Cimarron lettuce. This is actually a romaine lettuce. It says that it's one of the most vibrant lettuces ever found. So hopefully those colors in there will come out nicely for me. And then the last one that I'll be starting is a Gurney's Paris White Romaine. So another Gurney's. So some varieties there. So I got some head lettuce. I have everything else is loose leaf. Some of them are red in color and some of those are traditional greens. So those are the lettuce that I'll be starting. I'm also going to start my onion now. So in order for my onion to be ready to go out in the spring, I have to start it now. So there are 3 different varieties from Heirloom Seeds. So Heirloom Seeds is the name of the company. Let me put it there so you can see it. No pretty pictures on these, but I will be starting a red burgundy. I'll also be starting a yellow Spanish. I think this is a Utah Spanish, and a Walla Walla. So I actually live in a long day area. So there's intermediate, short day, and long day onion. Typically your short day onion are for the farther south, intermediate about middle of the country, and in the area where I live, you should be growing intermediate or either long day onion. But I've used the short day onion and they've grown well for me. So I like to mix it up. I do a little bit of long day, a little bit of short day, and intermediate. So, but those are the 3 from Heirloom Seeds that I'll be growing. And there are 2 other types of onion that I'll be growing. And I actually got these onion from David Seeds off of Amazon. I'll be growing this one here, this GreenStalk onion. It's a short day onion. And I'll also be growing this 1015, which is a Texas let me see how you say this, because I mess up a name. I'll mess up a name, really, I will. Texas Grano 1015, and it's a short day onion. And both of these are from David Seeds, and David Seeds are iffy for me. I've had some great germinations, and then I've had some that wouldn't germinate at all. So, you know, wish me luck with these David Seeds. This onion right here grew extremely well in my garden. The onion got a little bit bigger than baseball size, but not quite softball, if you know what I mean, but they were delicious. The short day onion, they won't last as long either in storage, at least in my area. So those are the different onions that I'm going to start today. There's just 3 other things I'll be starting today. There are 2 herbs I'm going to start today because they need about 10 weeks. You want to start them indoors about 10 weeks before it's time for them to put them outdoors. So for 10 weeks, that means I have between now and roughly the end of the month to get these started. So I will be growing, and both of these are from Burpees, Burpee Seeds. I need to start these 2 now, which are rosemary and sage. So those are 2 herbs I'm starting now, so they'll be ready to go out, and I can get as much production from them longer throughout the season, so I can dry them and make sure I get a year's supply. And then the last item that I'm starting now is a celery. Celery is another one of those seeds that it says start 8 to 12 weeks before the last frost date. And so these are from Baker Creek, and celery I'll be starting today. Now that we've talked about the seeds that I'm going to start today, let's talk a little bit about my process. So for me personally, I like to get a seed starting mix. I just picked this up from the local hardware store. It's a Jiffy brand. It's a mixture of, you know, many different things. I think there's some cocoa core in there, maybe. I don't want to get this wrong, but it's natural. It's organic. And this is the one I'll be using today. I typically do not go straight from the bag into one of my seed starting cells. Some people do. For me personally, I don't. I like to take boiling water, and I get, you know, my little pail here, and I put the seed starting mix in the pail. I take boiling water, I mix it up, I set it to the side. Just in case there are any type of insect eggs that are sitting dormant, I want to make sure that I don't bring and introduce insects into my indoor starting space. I don't want to be overrun with any kind of like fruit flies, gnats, bugs, no kind of insects in the house. So that's the first step for me. Once I've sterilized my mix, then I fill each of my cells with the mix. So let me get started. That's my next step. All right, let me get some gloves on. So I like to wear a pair of nitrile gloves or some type of gloves to keep my hands from getting wet. I like to start with my soil already damp. And since I sterilized it and I've had it sitting for a while, it's nice and damp. You see here, nice and damp. In my little seed starting tray here. And let's start by filling the cells. Let's start with the bigger cells. So I like to use the bigger cells for my onion, and I like to just put the soil in there, press it down a little bit, and then come back the second time, smooth it over, and then I won't press it down the second time. So there's one tray ready to go. I'm going to push it to the side. Let's do another. I'm sure you don't want to watch me do this for all the cells, but see, I push it down and then I come back over. That's two, ready to go. for the smaller trays, so the bigger ones I use for my onion. For the smaller trays here, if I know I'm going to need to upsize, so for example, for the celery and for the sage and for the rosemary, I know I'm going to want to up pot it to a bigger cell. So I start with a small one like this, and then I'll up pot to something like this or larger, so that I give those roots plenty of room to grow. So I do the same thing here. I start out, I fill it up, I push it down, and then I come back and I fill it up again. And that's it. That's how I prepare my trays. And you notice here the soil is really dark. It lets you know that it's very moist. It's ready to accept whatever seeds that I put in there. So again, the 6 cells, I'm going to use it for the celery, the sage, and the rosemary because I know I'm going to up pop those. For my lettuces, I use my lettuces like plugs. And so once the lettuce, starts showing true leaves, it gets, a good 3 inches tall, I will plop this out and put it right into my GreenStalk, which you'll get to see it, or plop this out and put it right into one of my raised beds if I was going outside with it. But for this lettuce that I'm growing today, it's really for my indoor garden so that I don't have to go to the store and buy a whole bunch of leafy greens from the supermarket, not knowing where it came from, who produced it, what chemicals are on it, right? And have you seen the price of a bag of lettuce? Oh my goodness. Highway robbery. Highway robbery, I tell you, especially when you see how easy it is to do it yourself indoors. So I'll be using the 4-cell trays for my lettuce. The 4-cell small trays for my lettuce because I'll have plugs for those. The bigger 4-cell trays will be for the onion. And for the onion, there's a very long process, which I will show you every week how my seedlings are doing, how they're growing in my greenhouse, and you'll understand how I'm putting these together. Now, these are always going to be better than the little dried out onions that you can get at your local hardware stores. Typically, those don't grow very well. They don't get very large in your garden. But if you start from seed and you transplant these plants into the ground, you have a better opportunity at getting a larger bulb on your onion. So I've showed you the 3 cell types that I have here. I have the onion. I have the 4 cells here for the lettuces. And then I have 6 cells here for the celery, the sage, and the rosemary. So I'm going to keep filling these up, and I'm going to put this on a time lapse to speed up the process. Let's get started. Let's make sure that you're still in view. All right, looks good. Hopefully I'm being close enough for everyone to see. So we will start with the celery first. And remember, I'm using a 6 tray for the celery. And we will start with the celery. And there's a lot of great information right on the pack. On the pack, it told me that I needed to start indoors 8 to 12 weeks before the last frost. And so you need to find out your last frost date to know when you need to start your plants. I actually keep a log. Last year I did it, on paper. This year I've added it to my computer on an Excel spreadsheet, but it lets me know when to start. But on here, it tells me exactly what I need to do. It says that start them indoors, and it says surface sow, gently pressing into the soil. All right, I think I can do that. Now, I'm going to do a whole tray of celery. And you know what? I'm going to do this without gloves It's just easier, at least one hand without gloves. They are tiny. So, with them being so tiny, I tell you it's going to be a little difficult. Don't want to put too many in any one cell. I probably did though, but we will try to be very careful with this celery. And I know that I'm going to up pot these, so once they start growing, and it said gently press into the cell, so I'm going to gently just press it right into the cell. I'm sure some cells have more than others, but I know I'm going to up pot them. So once they get their first true leaves, which you'll get to see if you follow me along the way, you'll see the true leaves. Once they get the first true leaves, I'll pull this plug out. I'll separate the celery that's in this particular one cell. I'll separate them out and I'll up pop them into a bigger cell tray so they can continue to grow. The other thing that's most important is to label what you're doing. If you're not used to gardening and you don't know what these plants look like, it's important, it's imperative, I should say, it's imperative that you label. So I have labels here. I have all my labels. I've already created the labels. And let me put that label in my tray. Get my hands to work. And so now I know what I have. So I have a tray of celery. Let's do the rosemary and the sage. And I am going to do three rosemarys and 3 sage. And again, I'm going to leave these in little, if you want to call it, plugs. And I'll pull that plug out and plant it into my indoor GreenStalk or either outdoors in my GreenStalk. I do all of my herbs in my GreenStalks. So if you don't know what a GreenStalk is, I encourage you to look at my video on all things GreenStalk. It's a vertical growing system that I had said 8, but there are actually 9. I have 9 growing in my garden. And so herbs all go into my GreenStalk. So let's get ready. Rosemary, I'm going to do 3 on this side of rosemary and 3 sage on the other side. So rosemary. Rosemary says plant seeds 1/4 of an inch deep. So, and just so you know, seeds are very forgiving. It doesn't have to be exact, but if you're thinking about what you're doing, 1/4 of an inch deep. I have a little tool here that I bought online. I don't even remember where I got it from, but I'm 100% sure that it came from Amazon. But this little tool here kind of helps me understand how deep I need to plant. For the rosemary, it said 1/4 of an inch deep. I'm going to put 2 in each cell. And the reason why I'm putting 2 is because 1 may not germinate. So you never know. Putting 2 in each cell. It might be more than 2 because they're so tiny. But that was more like 4. All right. There we go. I know I got 4 in the one, and I think I got 3 in all the rest of them, but they're so small. As long as I get 1 to germinate, life's good. So that's rosemary. So I put it 1/4 of an inch deep. I'm lightly covering it. You don't need a tool. Honestly, you can just do it with your hands, right? But lightly cover it. Do not pat it down too hard because then the seed will have to struggle to break the ground. So that was rosemary. So let me get my rosemary label. And now we're going to turn it around. And on this side, I'm going to do sage. For sage, the seeds are a little bigger, but for sage, it says 1/8 of an inch deep. So not quite as deep as I did the others. They're a lot bigger. So I am going to put 2 in each pocket. And again, 1/8 of an inch is nothing. I mean, nothing at all. And it's not an exact science. So if it's not exactly right, don't worry about it. It'll still turn out as long as your seeds are viable. All right, let's see if I can get 2 in each one. There we go. All right. There we go. I got 2 in each one. I did it. I did it with these teeny little seeds. And my, oh, I got to press it down. There we go. Put my label in. And now those are ready to go as well. So I am ready to start my celery, my sage, and my rosemary. It's all ready to go. There's no reason to water this from the bottom because my soil is so, my seed starting mix is so damp right now. There's no reason to do that. I might take a spray bottle and just spray the top to make sure there's plenty of moisture on the seeds, but we'll get to that step in just a minute. I want to make sure I get all the other seeds going. But I showed you how I did these 2 trays here. Now I'm going to go ahead and finish all of the lettuce and onion, and I will put this on, speed play just so you can see me go through the process, but I won't be talking through it. I'm just going to go through so you can see me go through the exact same steps I used for these 2 trays. Before I fast forward it, one thing about lettuce seeds are that they're very, very small. And I am creating plugs for my loose leaf lettuce. So you will see me put quite a few in each one of the cells because I will pick that whole cell up, that whole plug up, and plant it. So it won't be just 1 or 2 seeds. You'll see me sprinkle a small handful, I don't know, somewhere between, 5 and 10 seeds in each one, probably more like 5 in each one. But I just wanted to tell you that before I start this process. For my headed lettuce, so the romaine lettuce, I won't do that because you don't want too many trying to come up in the same cell. So that will be a little different. But the loose leaf, I'm going to use quite a few seeds in each cell. So I'm going to get to it. Right, I have the lettuce done, I have the herbs done, and I have the celery done. So I'm going to move this out the way, and then we're going to work on the onion. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back, and I am ready to work on the onion. So let's see what we got going on here. So I got Walla Walla. Walla Walla is getting 2 trays. Put it that way. Texas Grandio 1015 is getting 2 trays. Utah Spanish. I can't remember if I said 1 or 2. Grandex Yellow. Utah Spanish getting 2 trays. Texas 1015, 2 trays. And then the Red Burgundy, 1 tray. Now, just to give you a heads up, each one of these trays probably is going to hold close to 100 plants in it. Each tray is over 100 plants, but I do provide seed starts and plants to family and friends. So I know I'm planting more than what I need, but I want to make sure that I'm sharing the love with others. Let's start with the Walla Walla. I will show you how I do one tray, and then I'll just fast forward through the rest of them. But let's do Walla Walla first. I wanted to also read the directions for you. So when you're planting onion seeds, you sow the seeds indoors, which is what we're doing right now. And we're going to just spread them throughout the whole, there are 4 cells in each one of these individual little cubes here. We're going to spread them all out. And I'm going to slightly cover them up with dirt. It says a quarter of an inch? Yeah, it says 1/4 of an inch. So let's get started with the Walla Walla. If you've never seen an onion seed, it looks like little chipped up pieces. It's black. It kind of reminds me of coal, charcoal, but these are onion seeds. So let's get them spread throughout. I'm probably putting, I don't know, about 10 to 15 in each cell. Individual cell, I should say. Not that whole 4 tray. Individual cell. All right. I think I have enough in there. So these are Walla Walla. And now it says I'm supposed to cover them up about 1/4 of an inch. So I'm just going to spread them around. That's how I do it. It worked last year. I'm not a master gardener or anything like that. I'm an amateur. So let me be very clear. I'm an amateur. I've just been gardening for about 15 years. I grew up on a small farm. Well, my grandparents used to run a large farm long before I was born, but when I lived with them, they had a very small farm just for themselves. And that's how I learned my trade, trial and error. I made mistakes along the way, but that's how I learned how to do this. So I just mix it up, give it a little toss like I'm tossing a salad, and I got one more over here, and so I did 2 trays here. All right, and I think I can call that good. So I'm going to give it a little press, very lightly. Do not press these hard. You want to make sure that it can create a decent root structure, and it needs room to move. When those roots are growing, they need room to dig down and go down and grab that water that's going to be at the bottom of the tray. And that's it. That's the process. I'm going to repeat that process for the other types, but I'm going to do the exact same thing that I did with the Walla Walla. Let me speed it up so you don't have to wait. Onions are done as well. So Walla Walla, Texas 1015s, Utah Spanish. I have a red burgundy and a Grand X. Each one of these containers has holes in the bottom, drainage holes, and you always water from the bottom. You want to water from the bottom. You'll see that my soil is nice and dark. When the soil lightens, that means it needs water. You're going to pour water in to the tray from the bottom and let it absorb up into the tray. Now, I don't use any fertilizer at this point on any of my vegetables. I wait until they have broke ground and they're starting to show their first true leaves, which I will show you when we get to that point in the process. So at this point, All I do is water. That's it. Let us move to the greenhouse, or my indoor grow tent is what I have, but let's move to that area so you can see where I will be starting my seeds. Let me step back so you can see it, but this is my indoor grow tent. It is a Viasun. It's an 8x8 grow tent. Just going to step back just a little bit so you can see it a little better. But let's go inside the grow tent. We'll show you what we got going on. So I want to make sure you can see it there. There's the grow station. And in my inside grow tent, I have multiple types of lights. I have, standard, like shop lights over here. And I will also have my GreenStalk in here. It's not in here yet. It's not set up ready to go. And a multitude of grow lights over here that aren't being used at the moment. But these 4 grow lights will actually give me something very similar to sunlight in the whole tent. But I need individual lights right now. And here are the onion and the lettuce, the celery, and the herbs. I just have it up under a regular shop light, and I just turn it on or off as needed. It needs to be on right now. I can lower it to get it closer. Which is what I like to do until they sprout. Hopefully I'm not messing anything up there. But you'll see I have the lights nice and close until they break ground. I will leave the lights on for 12 hours and then they'll go off for 12 hours. And that's pretty much how I do it. It's on a timer. So it comes on every morning about 8. It goes off every night at 8. And I know this light will be on. And it's the only light I need on at the time. I'll come back next week. I'll show you the progress and show you how things are going. That's it for this video. Again, we're just getting started. 2023 is just taking off. We just started our first seeds. There'll be many, many more seeds that we will need to sow indoors to have them ready to transplant later this winter, because we will start everything pretty much by the end of February. I will have everything in the ground except for just a few things like cucumbers and squash. But we got to get all of those spring vegetables started, the cabbage, the broccolis, and all of those things started as well. I hope there was some good information in here for you. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel. Again, new channel, but not new to this process or gardening. Enjoy growing. Stay safe. Goodbye.